What is up, Walking Dead friends and family? Oh my goodness. Walking Dead season 11 has been absolutely epic, and episode 3 was, you know what? I need a drink because that episode was probably one of the most, if not the most intense episode of the entire series. It had you going from the moment the show opened up to the absolute end. And all I can say is, wow, that episode is definitely in my top 10, hands down. Um, Intensity was there, literally, probably one of the most intense episodes in the entire universe. Well written. The stars of that show definitely were Alden, Maggie, and Negan. Absolutely fantastic episode, but we're going to open this up. Now, this isn't Dwayne Jones whiskey, which, who knows, maybe Dwayne Jones is still out there. I think that would be an awesome sort of remix to the Michonne story. I know we still got Yumiko following, looks like she's taking Michonne's lines, but imagine if there was two. If there was more than one, that would be really cool. But anyways, I'm going to have a toast here. This is my favorite rum. One of these days, if Dwayne Jones whiskey is actually real, I'd like to know. Someone in the comments let me know. I want to try this. But this is a cheers to The Walking Dead, from the writers to the actors to the special effects group, the stunt doubles, the people that you don't see. Everyone involved from that from just wow. Thank you, Walking Dead universe. Thank you, Walking Dead family. I want to do a toast to you. You guys have been amazing. And I thought season 10 was epic. Oh my goodness. Season 11 is taking it to a whole nother level. You guys have outdone yourself. You keep raising the bar. Cheers, Walking Dead family. Whew. So yeah, that episode was amazing. I am still on edge, and this is after watching Talking Dead, after taking my dog out to, and just trying to relax a little bit. I'm still on edge from that episode. That was every moment was intense, but yeah, we begin the episode like right in the beginning, and you have Gabriel, Aaron, and of course, you know, the rest of our group, and they're kind of stressing out the fact that all the animals are gone from the last Walker herd, back from when, you know, Beta had brought his herd through. They lost all the animals, the horses. They lost food. They had nothing. There's a lot of desperation going on in the season because they have nothing and they need to survive. They got a big community and they need supplies. Which is why our group is out there. So very quick scene there, and now we're back out to where we left off in episode 2, where Roy got an arrow right through the head. Kind of reminded me of Abraham from the comics. Of course, he didn't get that in the show, but that reminded me, that whole scene when Roy got the arrow right there. Of course, Denise in the show got it, but interesting that Abraham is mentioned, and we're going to come back to that. But yeah, this scene, the way they open this episode, my God, was absolutely freaking amazing. It just begins with, you see, you know, of course, last episode, everybody's scattering. They're all running through the woods trying to get away at the end there. But really great scene, cinematography in the opening scene. You see Maggie, and you can tell she's just scared. And it's really slowed down to really bring out the dramatic effect. The music, the score was phenomenal. From the lighting to just the way it looked was absolutely epic. I was blown away by this opening set of events. You see Alden getting hit. Cole, who at the end of last episode just lost his hand, gets slipped get his throat slit from behind. This is one of Maggie's best fighters. To see him go out like that really drives home how crazy and how insane this group, the Reapers, are. And in my and on Twitter, I was live tweeting, and one of the things I had said was that the Reapers are an example of the fuck around and find out, because this group is intense. They are lethal. They literally took out Cole right from the beginning. Then Duncan, who is her biggest man, he's getting lit up with arrow right into the stomach. He's down for the count, or at least severely injured. Now then Negan gets hit in the leg with a knife. You see Father Gabriel with a Reaper runs by him, just barely slits him in slow motion. You see him getting cut. They easily could have taken him out, but they were just toying with him, it seemed like. And then you see Daryl and Dog chase after a Reaper in the woods. You see Maggie, and this was really crazy. It looked like some sort of rope or some sort of weapon that involved rope, but kind of also got her in the shoulder, just dragged her from behind, threw her down, and she's kind of trying to get this out of her shoulder. You see Elijah, who comes from behind. He's trying to cut the rope to release her, and then all of a sudden the same type of weapon, boom, grabs Elijah from the back. Another one of Maggie's. This guy was badass. Remember back in season 10 where he's like, these phenomenal moves that he has with the scythe that he has. He gets taken out early. We don't know what happened to him. And then another great scene where after Elijah gets taken off, who knows what happens to him. Maggie is alone. She's sitting in the the woods, and you can see her senses must be really up, and she feels the presence of the Reaper that we the audience, we see him, but she feels it. Like, it's kind of shadow, it's blurry, but then she grabs Elijah's scythe and throws it, and it slams right into a tree right next to this creepy ass Reaper guy who literally has a skull as his face. And just kind of more of the imagery of death and destruction, and of course the Reaper, who is known to have the scythe, and then cuts the title screen, which I love the ever-changing title screen. But let's go on to the next scene. We see Magna, and she has her bow and arrow, and looks like we see turkey vultures or whatever. They're flying in a circle, which is usually signifies death. There's a dead animal or something that's dead down there. And she immediately is scared, and then turns her bow and arrow like there's an intruder coming, but it's only Kelly and Carol. So what I'm kind of thinking of is this sort of an omen, or kind of basically an omen that either Magna is going to die soon? Could it be Carol or Kelly? And of course, Kelly and Carol have been looking for Connie, but vultures is usually a symbol of death, or something has died. That's why they're there. They circle around until before they go down to the animal or the carcass, and before they start eating it. But that was kind of interesting. Now we all know Carol and Daryl have their own show, but what if one of them does die, but it's more or less, it's in their head. It's that they want the one that survives still sees the other person, like, in their head, and that person is kind of like that the angel on their shoulder, and kind of guiding them in trying to find Rick Grimes or something, whatever they have planned on for their show. What if that you never know, we could lose them, but I kind of have a feeling we may lose Kelly and Magna, but that's just sort of my gut feelings. But yeah, then after that, Carol let's see. Carol, yeah, I got my notes here because there was just so much going on. I had to write it down. But Carol, as she's coming into Alexandria, she sees Aaron and he's pulling up the wall, the walls with a bunch of other people, and Carol, you see like this look in her face, like she's kind of sad. She hates seeing Alexandria in ruins, and because Carol has the heavy heart, and I love Carol. She is one of my favorites. But then, right, Aaron sees her, and then it cuts back to the kit. She's in the kitchen, like getting supplies or whatever. Of course, that brings back episode of the rat chasing around. But Aaron is upset that because I guess it was her turn to help build the walls, but Carol is her own person. She does what she feels is going to be in the best interest of the group, and she's talking about the horses that are out there, and Aaron brings up the fact that Daryl and him were chasing Buttons. Of course, you remember what happened to Buttons. Buttons died. That should have been kind of an omen there because, and we'll come back to that, but of course Buttons died as they tried to help and get him back, and they weren't successful. Aaron thought it was kind of not worth the effort when they needed to build walls, but Carol's saying without these horses, we're not going to be being able to carry much more than a seed pouch or whatever I can't remember exactly what she compared it to, and they're not going to be able to pull or get around and get supplies. So these horses were very important, and Carol was right in this instance, but not that Aaron was wrong, but they had kind of conflicting views. And then we come in another scene which has the kids, and I love all these kids. They're adorable. We have to protect them at all cost. But they're sitting there, they're playing cards. It looks like either 21 or blackjack. They're slapping their hands down on their if they won. But an interesting question that Herschel is asking Judith, and he asks her if she's worried about her mom running off all the time. And Judith, which this is kind of interesting to where her mind is at, and she's like, I'm used to it. She always runs off, and then, but she mentions how she believes that her, mom always comes back, and Herschel is kind of, it's almost like he wants, some sort of simpleness. He wants a life, and he's tired of his mom not being there, running off and do. That's just kind of the vibe I got. But then we switch scenes, and there's Maggie. She's running across this parking lot. It looks like there's a mall. She's alone. She's trying to get into this door, and all of a sudden a knife gets thrown at her. So clearly that Reaper that was, or a Reaper is chasing her and tracking her, and he knows where she is. And now she walks into this other door after she gets, out of sight. And of course, Maggie being resourceful, she sees these glass bottles, puts them up on the door handle. So if someone opens the door, they're going to fall and they're going to shatter, and she'll hear it. She goes up the stairs, and there's a walk. This, another moment of intensity, and the walker attacks her, and then she's struggling, and all of a sudden the railing breaks, and the walker goes tumbling down. You see the light going with it, and it's just epic scene. She goes up the stairs, and then there's that same Reaper that attacked her and Elijah, and the skull mask and everything, and a lot of religious imagery and death and stuff like that. But you reap what you sow, and this Reaper took a tumble down because they were up a little bit higher. Maggie ends up kicking him through the railing. He falls down, and that Reaper is done. And my heart's racing, watching this. Then we come into the woods, and you see, Father Gabriel there, and he's in the side of the woods. He has this knife on this, stuck in his leg, and he starts praying, and he's saying, Lord, you are my refuge and my strength. He keeps saying this over and over, and then he hears a noise, and he sees this Reaper struggling, and he's, he's limping, and he's getting away. Then Gabriel pulls the the knife out of his leg, and you see Father Gabriel, through these past few episodes and he's struggling with his religion, his faith, and he sees the Reaper, and instantly he instead of praying to God, he all of a sudden becomes stone cold, and he sees this guy who is basically hurting and killing his friends, and he goes to follow him. Then we come back on, Maggie's back. She finds Alden in the mall, and as soon as she finds Alden, they both get attacked, and there's one of the Reapers on top of her trying to kill her, and and Alden's getting attacked over here, and this is one of the sickest deaths ever. While she's struggling trying to hold him up, or whoever the Reaper was, she sees a bottle, she breaks it, literally jams that right in the side of his head. Amazing. And then at that same moment, you see Negan behind and bam, takes out that Reaper. Maggie
sees one of the Reapers attacking someone. I thought it was Alden, but maybe it wasn't. But you really couldn't tell. But she throws a knife at him. The Reaper then, which reminds me of the first Reaper we saw back in season 10, he takes a grenade and he drops it, and Negan saves Maggie and jumps out of the way. Then that explosion blows up, and they come and find Alden again, whose stomach is all sliced and cut up and everything. Maybe that was from the explosion, but or the Reaper did that to him. But either way, he was fucked up. And then another scene, you see Rosita, she's collecting mushrooms. Carol comes up on the side and she's like, you feed those to basically, because they were the type of shrooms that was going to get you high, and Carol cracked a joke about that. And this was kind of a cool scene. They're going to try and find the horses, and they come and they find these horses, and they're following them and everything. And there's this conversation. This is really big. This is where I was talking about Abraham. And if you go, and this is kind of a callback to one of my videos where I'm talking about characters who are going to come back in this episode. And I believe this is kind of setting up for a former character to come back. And go check that out. And I explain why clues are leading me to believe that certain characters are coming back. And this one is Abraham. Now Rosita's talking to Carol, saying how she's been having dreams of Abraham, and he's trying to tell her something important, but she never quite hears what Abraham's trying to say. And every time she gets, he's about to say it, he gets shot in the head. And then Carol says, that's very dark. But I think Abraham is going to come back. Now, clearly, he's not going to be alive when he comes back, but there is going to be some sort of dream sequence, one of the things I mentioned before, or some sort of callback or flashback. But I believe in his case, it's going to be a dream sequence because of the conversation that Rosita had. And interesting that it would be Abraham because, they were, of course, a couple before. Abraham gave her that brutal breakup line, and it, of course, ended up dating Sasha. But something is going to either happen to, I think, either Father Gabriel and possibly even Rosita. Now, I've heard some people talk about that Rosita could get, Laurie's epic death, but the actual comic one where she's holding Judith and she gets shot and Judith dies. Of course, we got Judith now, so it's a bit of a remix, but maybe Abraham is trying to warn her that, she doesn't have her head right. She's not paying attention to detail or something. Something is going to happen where maybe he's trying to save, Coco or something. Who knows? But Abraham is coming back. Mark my word. We will see Abraham again. And of course, if you follow, Michael Cutlass on Twitter, some of the things that he's saying are kind of cryptic and different things, but I do believe we will see him. Now, we come back to Negan, Alden, Maggie, who are at this mall, at this building, and they find Agatha, and she's fighting these zombies. And even Alden gets one who's injured and limping, and he catches a zombie in the teeth, which is something we saw in the trailer. But then the sad part of it, we come up to Duncan, one of the big beast of a man, and he's sitting down. He's got all those arrows where he was hit before, and he's basically about to die. He tells Maggie that, we were good. You were good, but we were lucky. And this is Maggie losing someone else. And this is all kind of highlighting the losses that Maggie has had. And it just gets worse and worse. Now, we come back to, of course, he dies, and she kisses him on the forehead and takes him out because she doesn't want him to come back as a walker. But the next scene, we're coming back where we got Rosita, Carol, Kelly, and Magna again. And they come across some of the horses that are slaughtered. Heads are cut off, limbs cut off. Really kind of gross, disgusting scene. And clearly this is done by the Reapers. And everyone in the group is getting kind of, beat down, like, oh my, what next, basically. And then they all want to say, or I think Rosita is the one that says it's getting late, we should go home, we'll try this again. And Carol's like, no, we are not giving up, we need those horses. And everybody's kind of starting to argue. This is where you see differences in what needs to be done. They want to rest, Carol just wants to go on. But a really cool scene is while they're kind of not really attacking, but arguing with Carol and her point of view, Magna goes up and hugs Carol, and it's really this really cool moment, and I think Carol really needed that. But then now we're back at Gabe, and we find he finds the Reaper, arrows in his stomach, he's basically dying, and he goes to Gabriel, are you going to pray for me? And Gabriel's like, you tried to kill my friends and my family. And he's saying, basically, you guys did the same to us, which is a crock because the Reapers brought it upon them. And you're a man of God, you should still pray for me. And this was really an epic moment. And it's highlighting the trajectory or the path that Gabriel's going down, where he's having trouble with his faith. And he basically said, God isn't here anymore. And he takes his knife and stabs him in the head. Reaper's out. So Gabriel, remember, in the beginning, he's praying. He's trying to get back, believe in his faith. And then at the end, God's gone. He doesn't believe. So clearly highlighting the struggle that he's having. And I kind of believe that we are going to see that death. You see the Reapers who are hanging people upside down. In the comics, Gabriel died by, falling down the water tower, and there's a lot of references as we've been seeing over throughout time. What if the Reapers is kind of a remix of that, where they're hanging people upside down? Let's say that this is going to be the kind of a remix of the death of what Father Gabriel, but what if it's not Father Gabriel, but Father Gabriel is the cause, and someone else gets that death instead of him. And it's just a kind of a what if scenario, but clearly Father Gabriel is coming down a dark path. Now we come back to Maggie, Agatha, Negan, and Alden, who are traveling through the woods, and one thing I have to say is that throughout this, the stars of this episode is clearly Alden, Negan, and Maggie, because of course, Alden was a former savior, Negan was a savior leader, and of course, we all know the history with Maggie and Negan. And Alden is really witty and really kind of snarky with Negan, and Negan's just trying to fit in, saying, hey, Maggie, you've been gone for a long time, and now you're back, and just the back and forth between Negan and Alden and Negan and Maggie has been so well done. And all three of the actors, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Lauren Cohan, and Colin McCaulkin. I apologize. I'm sure I messed his name up, but all three of them did a phenomenal job, and they were clearly the stars of this episode. But so then they come across this walker, and this is the walker that was in all the trailers and everything, and it's burnt to a crisp. Really cool walker. I mean, if you go to Greg Nicotero's page, he posted on his Instagram, and what we didn't see is it pans up and you see the name Judas. Now, of course, if you're religious or Catholic, Christian, whatever, I mean, the story of Judas. Now, Judas was a disciple and one of the original 12 apostles of Jesus. Judas and betrayed Jesus to the Sanhedrin in the Garden of Gethsemane, and I know I'm messing that name up, but by kissing him and referring to him as a rabbi to reveal his identity to the crowd who had come to arrest him. So, and Judas is known as betrayal. It's synonymous with, treason. So now we come back to this walker who has the name Judas above him. Now, when we first seen this, of course, we didn't see Judas, and I thought for sure this was one of our people. I thought maybe, who knows? It could have been a number of people, but with Judas above his name, that tells me that whoever did that to that individual believes that this person committed treason. This person was, went against and did something that they felt was treasonous or betrayal to them. Now, of course, the leader of this is a guy who goes by the name of Pope. Again, some more of that religious symmetry or imagery, rather. And this is where I believe that is Elijah. That walker right there, that is Elijah. I'm pretty much from, you go back to where Maggie was being attacked, all we seen was something grab him by the neck and pull him back. Now, why do I believe Elijah could be it? I mean, look at the Reapers. Look at Elijah. He wears a mask. Of course, they wear a mask. He has some of the fighting skills. He's fighting with two scythes, just like some of the other Reapers. Clearly, there's something there, and something happened, which I believe that he used to be a Reaper and then decided that he didn't want. Maybe he had a change of heart. Now, if you go back to when he was introduced in the extra episode in season 10. And that one Reaper came, you can clearly see there was a look of fear. He was nervous. He was scared of them. So he clearly knows them. And he has some traits that makes me believe that he is a Reaper. What if he basically just kind of had a heart and decided that I can't do this? Whatever happened to Maggie's establishment back then that the Reapers did, he just didn't want any part of it. Now his sister, of course, is missing. Maybe that's why he had this change of heart. But I believe they got him, they tied him up, and they burnt him. I believe that is Elijah. I believe he betrayed them. Of course, Elijah is a good guy, but to them, they see him as betrayal. So I believe that burnt guy is Elijah. Now, the girls return back to Alexandria with the horses. It's kind of a big victory, and you can hear people in the background say, "Yay, horses," or something to that effect. And Magna comes to Carol, and she basically is asking her to quit giving Kelly false hope about Connie, and how she looks up to her, and she just wants her family to heal. Again, more of this at odds with our family, with different members, but and then there's this scene where, remember when I brought up the buttons, and I should have thought of that. Now we got horses, and Carol ends up killing the horse, lays it down, and then cuts his throat, and then bleeds it out so that our family would have meat. It was kind of a sad scene, but I get why she did it. Carol has a huge heart. She wants her family to survive, and she just takes one for the team and does what has to be done. I mean, that's kind of who she is now. And we see this. Now we come back to the kids, who are again, sitting at the table, and they're eating the horse meat, and a lot of the kids don't want to touch it. Judith is kind of looking at it funny. They're smelling it, and Herschel's basically saying how he had to do that on the road and different things, because Herschel had a tough life, and he's saying just chew, take little bites, just chew it. It's really not that bad, and he compares it to having to eat spiders on the road, which, ugh. But I mean, I guess in this world, you do what you got to do to survive. That was kind of crazy. Then we come back to Negan, Maggie, and Alden, and back to that scene where I said Elijah, we lost Agatha as well. She got bit. Negan saves her again as she's trying to help Agatha. It was a lost cause. Second time that Negan saves her, and this is kind of in a way building a rapport with each other. It's because they clearly are at odds with each other, but they have to trust each other to survive. So we're back with now it's just Negan, Maggie, and Alden, and they come across a building, and as it pans out, we see this wooden church. Again, remember the leader of the Reapers is the Pope, and as before they go in the building, you hear that kind of the same music that they had when the Reapers had first attacked. And so basically they're sitting in this group. They realize Alden is hurt and they can't really go anywhere, and they ultimately come to the decision to leave him there. They give him a knife, give him supplies, while Maggie and Negan kind of go out to do whatever they need to do. And there's this scene where there's this walker, in the background, and Negan takes his crowbar and he's, again, it reminds me of a scene, and I think it was at Alexandria actually, outside, when Rick was up on the top there, and he takes just kind of like his baseball bat. He took Lucille, of course, but you see, and Maggie's, in the background, and she watches it. You see the crowbar dripping with blood, which again reminds her of Lucille, what happened to Glenn, and then it kind of goes away. Now, the next episode, clearly, it's just going to be Maggie and Negan, which they're forced to rely on each other. That's going to be really interesting, and I cannot wait. Some of the things I loved is, of course, the mentioning of Abraham, the referencing of Michonne. I believe that we are going to, maybe not even, I don't know if we'll see Michonne here, but what if we see, the characters that she left with? I want to know more about them, but who knows? We're referencing Michonne and some of our characters again. I do believe that we are going to see at least those characters, or at least get some sort of word, whether it be on a walkie or something. Something is going to happen, of course. And this is all leading to Rick Grimes, because I think either we're going to find out, because only a couple people know what happened, what Michonne found. But yeah, oh my goodness, what an episode. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I want to know your opinions. I want to know what you think's coming next. If you've already seen episode 4, I know some of you guys got AMC Plus. Please do not spoil it for everybody else. But if you do know, then just let's talk about episode 3. If you're not sure, because I haven't watched episode 4 yet, I'll probably watch that maybe tomorrow, or I might wait till Sunday. It depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, amazing episode, guys. But yeah, as always, I like to do a shout out, and this is no different. And yeah, and this is no different. This is going to go out to Jamie Hogan, the Jamie Joe Show. One of my favorite YouTubers that I love watching. I want you to go check her out because she brings another great perspective to the show. And as she breaks down, like her thoughts and views are really cool. Excellent show. You guys really got to check her out. I'm going to put her YouTube description in the bottom, as always in the description. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, share with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed already, please check it out and subscribe. And don't forget, I got that giveaway going where you could possibly win the Series 1 2011 McFarlane set with the Norman Reedus or the Daryl Dixon signed by Norman Reedus themselves. So yeah, thanks guys for listening. Go check out the Jamie Joe Show. Thank you guys for watching me. I love you guys.